All right, guys, welcome for the second set of matches I am casting this evening. This time we have PsychoSwarm versus Clouded Minds. I literally just casted Battlefield of Eternity, and we are going on back over to Battlefield of Eternity. Some fun facts for you. For Clouded Minds, the guys are super hyped for starting off this season, getting to be, one of the first games season played. On top of that, looking forward to having a really good match between themselves and PsychoSwarm. And on the side of PsychoSwarm, they're just some beer loving video game players, and I can get behind that. You can't see my fine beer, but you can see the wonderful pseudo koozie. It's called a Freak, and well, it was a delicious beer nonetheless. So, Battlefield of Eternity. Let's put on our game hats here. We're going to see almost assuredly a Phoenix ban. If we don't see a Phoenix ban, we're going to see a Phoenix pickup. I'm super hyped if we can see a Phoenix game and see like how devastating he is truly in the hands of someone. Now, Hanzo is the pick here, and rightfully so. Hanzo chews through health pools of those immortals like he's eating candy. If you've watched Dragon Ball Z and you're familiar with Boo, basically Hanzo is Boo. He turns the immortals to candy and he just gobbles them down like it's nothing. So Phoenix is gone, Hanzo is gone. Who next? Um, well, Maev is widely available here, or wide open. So they could take Maev. She's very powerful. Now, is she best hero? I don't know. But she is definitely a very, very strong hero that you should take into account. And Cloud9 Minds are definitely thinking about it. They have opted for the Greymane. I don't believe the Greymane is the way to go. Greymane starts with a G, and he is indeed usually great, but he's not as great as he once was. That's not because they nerfed him. It's because of the current meta that you almost hope we see a double frontline, and oftentimes that double frontline is CC heavy. Like if you have a Blaze, you have an ETC. Well, all of a sudden, a Blaze in ETC means slide, base melt, and get propulsion on. That's a lot of crowd control on a Greymane. So you have to play as a ranged damage dealer as a Greymane, opted to be have optimal survivability. If you're playing as a ranged Greymane, you're basically opting for an inferior hero compared to the other ranged heroes that are available. On the side of PsychoSwarm, they swoop on in for the Stukov and Garage, which is a super spicy and super spicy. So the Garage and Stukov definitely are super strong. You throw, you silence, and you make them cry. You don't even need the Q. You just make them cry, and the Q follow up in the silence makes them trapped in there longer, take more damage, and basically cry some more. But they're crying silently. On the side of Clouded Swarm, we got a Nub and a Li Ming. So it's almost taking away the counter. It's an interesting choice here. And the noob is usually considered a good counter into Li Ming because of his beetles being able to block the pot shot she takes. And additionally, she has magic armor. This chat is pretty top notch here. They were thinking about picking Chen because he's drunk, and we got some hashtags. Drunk life mattered. No, they don't. And I'm a better drunk driver. So Cho'Gall ban coming on out here. So that's a little spicy here. We got the Malfurion ban who came out before as well, and it makes sense. Like I've seen this in the last game. You'll see this in any game where people are drafting, you know, drafting and have a general good understanding of the meta. And so Malfurion is pretty much your counter support. Like Stukov first, I'd say Malfurion oftentimes is first too. So you got your two tier S supports or tier one, whatever you want to consider them at this point in the meta. And while you're taking them off the table with the Stukov pick and the Malfurion ban. So the Lee Mink and the Greymane will have a lot of racing potential. And because they'll have a lot of racing potential, it'll be scary for this side of PsychoSwarm, especially with the new pickups of Jaina and Tyrael. Tyrael is actually going to be the solo laner, I'd imagine, because you're never going to send a Garrosh to solo lane, and their racing potential is really low right now. So I just addressed like some comments in Dream. So Greymane is going to either be built for team fighting or immortal shredding. I'm being told, and that comment is the comment is that I'm going to double check that I have my 2 minute delay on, and which I should. Yep, stream delay is 2 minutes. And so, anyways, getting back, in some of the comments in there, that Greymane's been pretty much a ranged hero for a while. His cocktail build and ranged AA build are what make him really good as an assassin. Not anything his melee build could do. Focus great. That's true and not true anymore because they changed his Q build in which no one goes a Q build pretty much anymore. And because no one really goes a Q build anymore, it's essentially fallen off as being a ranged attacker since he's not really a ranged attacker with the current builds. Well, he is a ranged attacker, but it's not the same thing. It's basically he has fast auto attacks in range. He has a Q build or Q that does okay. It's not the same degree at all as it used to be. His Q is scary. Now his Q is kind of like I feel like a light breeze coming on in. So we got the ETC and Lucio coming on out. The top lane will be a Nub or ETC, which is very interesting. It's a choice that I'm not really a fan of. Basically, what they have opted for is to have a lane that does nothing. Like Tyrael isn't going to really do much. Nub and ETC are not going to do much in that lane. It's going to be a super slow and super boring one. But now we have on the other side from PsychoSwarm, displacements galore. We have Barrage Throw, Silence, Jaina Slow, Junkrat Knockback. On the other side, we have Lucio. Now, the Lucio is a solid pickup here because of the burst damage that'll be coming from Jaina. And the Jaina has a lot of potential generally in these fights, but Lucio at 10 will be able to negate a lot of the DPS coming in. Plus, Cloud and Minds has portrait synergy, and that accounts for a lot. So we are now getting on into this game, and I am definitely excited to see how these two play out in actual game. So for Cloud and Minds, we got the Great Hari on the Greymane, Tigerfish on the ETC, Wenis or Venus, Wenis most likely on that Lucio, Swing on the Li Ming. Great rhyming there. Star Knight on the Anubba Rock. We're actually going to have Greymane start in the top lane, which means they have literally no serious kill potential, in my opinion, in the bot lane. As long as a tank is sitting in front like Garrosh. And on PsychoSwarm, we have Cars and Guitars on that Garrosh. The Use Klazuva on Stukov, a Cheese Sticks on Jaina, Cujo on Junkrat, and finally a Magic Walrus on Tyrael. Almost an appropriate nickname for Tyrael, Magic Walrus. So the problem right now for Cloud and Minds is they have no wave clear. Like I'm going to say they literally have no wave clear, serious wave clear. Between Jaina and Junkrat, there's no way to push in to this lane, and Junkrat can just endlessly poke for free from range. There's a throw, there's a slide, and a knockback along with the use of that silence. So, a lot of damage coming out on Star Knight right now. Nothing too big a deal. It is a nub, so he does have that spell armor, like I mentioned. And just to check what everyone has, we are actually seeing perfect aim picked up here. I'm not sure if we'll see the full Q build, but if we do, it's going to be slightly odd. Cars and Guitars just taking a chunk of damage there, but remember, he has a lot of armor, and so Garage is not actually taking the full brunt of Li Ming's damage. We have Regen, we have Justice for All, we have put some English on it, Growing Infestation, finally Warbreaker already at 5 stacks, so he's getting an extra DPS there. We got that Nerubian Armor, the Power Hungry, and the Prog Rock, and finally we move together. So you normally see Accelerando, I believe, is the usual go-to, so it's an interesting choice here for the We Move Together. In the top lane, Greymane has essentially won this. So they realized, Cloud and Minds, that, well, the top lane is going to be this super ultra boring fight if we put a tank up there. Like, nothing's going to happen. So why not put Greymane up here and just, like, win this lane super hard? And correction, it is Weenus. It's not Wenus. So I will correctly say a Weenus. And so the Great Heart's doing a really nice job here. And Magic Walrus actually going to be catching on to the trail of Greymane. So he's going to prevent him from getting this. In the meantime, with Cujo rotating up, which is a very good call at this point. They have enough wave clear, like I said. They actually should be 3v4ing, in my opinion, PsychoSwarm, because they have Stukov, they have Jaina, and there's no way for them to walk past and clear that lane freely. Magic Walrus, on the other hand, is not going to win against a Greymane, but two of them, on the other hand, will win against a Greymane. Now with 4s being picked up, we have a great pickup here from Cloud and Mind. Cloud and Mind has opted to take their Bruiser Camp at an appropriate time. On the other side, PsychoSwarm has actually not done that at all. So what you're seeing is kind of the typical thing between a good team and a great team. A good team will sit around and not actually make use of their time. So there's the collapse. Tigerfish has gone in with the slide, and they are now chewing on that Jaina, and she is going to be a tasty delight. Very nicely done from Cars and Guitars, getting out that Groundbreaker, tossing them away, and they will all be walking away for free. Cujo, however, is now poking on in with that Q. Nice trap late, so they can back on off, and they can now start on their own defense in place. However, they have to be concerned with this top Shaman camp, and it looks like they're not actually going to be concerned enough with it, but thankfully it's already gone down, so PsychoSwarm is okay. Star Knight is in really deep, has that burrow, he's taken a lot of damage, and with Cujo able to poke, they should be able to come on in and have Cujo poke away with some Qs and get some vision there. Fortunately, he just missed with his trap. I feel like this is almost like a bug in the UI when you throw down a trap. So this is pretty slow. What they really need to do, I was saying before, good and great teams. A good team will often be solid players with good decision making, but they won't make those decisions fast enough. Cujo getting caught out there does not have the. He does make it over to the concussion mine. Not enough body blocks. They just kind of let him walk through. That was a great play from Tigerfish catching out the Cujo. But he kind of just walks away scot-free. Tigerfish coming in with another Q. There's the Groundbreaker. There's a toss. Tigerfish has nowhere to go right now. But there is the Nub Burrow trying to save the day. Unfortunately, they do not. And there is more damage dropping on in onto the Garage. Magic Walrus all out of mana. He needs to be super careful. Garage tossing away Greymane, and they are now turning their attention to a Nub, and he will just manage to make his way on out. Once they can get to the halftime show, they can go back and tap. At least I hope they all go back and tap, because that's what you want to do. You don't want to be fighting without mana, without E. So taps are available. They're starting to tap. Cheese Stick does not have mana, so this is okay. They're already ahead. They're coming on in to try and defend it. Tigerfish looking very nicely done. He's rooted in place. There goes the Q. But he's getting knocked around right now. There's the unstoppable. Stukov's there to save the day. He can pop the D, can he? There he goes. It's not going to be enough. Cars and Guitars goes down. And there they go. A nice knockback from Cujo. They should be poking him down super heavily right now. He will just kind of walk away scot-free. So there's another slide. A Tigerfish getting on top of Cheesesteak. There's a nice blizzard, but it's not going to be enough. Interior will be going down next. Justice has been served on the side of Clouded Minds, and their judgment is not too clouded, especially for Tigerfish, as he's just going on in there and making short work of each member on PsychoSwarm. We now already have that Groundbreaker completed in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. That's pretty impressive here. So Cujo, the rest of them should be able to poke this out. I think they will actually win this Clouded Minds because of the staggered deaths on the side of PsychoSwarm. So I was saying, good teams and great teams. Great teams will optimize everything they can do. You saw the Immortal actually start up, but unfortunately, they didn't actually optimally use their time. They sat here for a while. They could have cleared a wave, and then they could have gone. In the meantime, Magic Walrus getting collapsed on by the 5-man. And the good news for them is that this Immortal has literally no one backing it, and so they'll be able to clear this for free. The bad news for them is that there's a 5-man in the top lane. The other good news for Clouded Minds is that they're soaking all the lanes. And in comparison, Clouded Minds have decided not to soak all the lanes for whatever reason. This is an early game Immortal. Took down the front wall, most of the front wall, and they're not working on this. Cars and Guitars all alone. There comes the Unstoppable a little too late. They have turned their attention to him, but I do not know if he'll be able to make it out. He turns back in with his W, but it won't be enough. The healing comes at the most optimal point to actually land it, but it's still not enough. Like, never make a rotation like that because it's so dangerous. If you're walking behind an enemy team without your team there to support you, I don't care who you are. You're Phoenix, you're Mayev, you're some new OP hero who's going to be made in the future, you're going to die. Unless, of course, the OP hero is immortal and unkillable. That's another thing altogether. So looking at some of the talents that has been picked up so far, we got the full Q builds coming out. We got the Divine Vigor. We got the Purge Evil. We got Gotta Trap them all, which is not the talent you want to go. And we have big ass traps. That is not what you want to go either on Junkrat. You go with Taste for Explosions and Tricky Shovel. The reason you want that is because Tricky Shovel will get you the extra speed, and Taste for Explosions is what lets you do damage as Junkrat as the game goes on. Because Junkrat isn't all that formidable without Taste for Explosion. Very nice concussion mine here, but it's not going to be enough at this point, and he's going to walk away, poke him down a little bit, but not win this Merc Camp ultimately. Great Hari just outplaying Cujo there. The other talents we have, Indomitable, Into the Fray, and we're getting ready for the next Immortal phase as we're already seeing the poke. The 10s have come out on the side of Clouded Minds, and really, PsychoSwarm should not be here. They're actually doing the worst possible choice. They're looking for a fight, down a talent. They're not soaking any of the lanes, so they're not soaking bottom, they're not soaking top, and they're not able to hit 10. So at this point, PsychoSwarm literally cannot win this if Clouded Minds plays this competently. And it looks like they're playing this more than competently, as they're going to get themselves a full Immortal. They've literally done all the worst decisions here, PsychoSwarm. Those decisions being to fight, but we just got an NA Mosh coming out from Tigerfish. The Coon has been used, but in the meantime, Stukov has been ran down, and the rest of PsychoSwarm is still trying to fight. There comes a Sank from Tyrael. There is a follow-up, a Ring of Frost, and they are still fighting this out. I can't believe this. There's a very nice Junkrat Riptire, but it's still not going to be enough. A lot of tools have been used, and in that time, we have Jaina who has gone down. Fight is all over the place. Um, we just had the shaman camp push up to this wall, the fort going down as well. Now means that they're opening up a win condition to just march on into a core with the next immortal. So Game Freaks, or sorry, Game Freaks, Clouded Minds are running away with this game. A stun from the Immortal might actually net themselves a kill. Indomitable not really needed there as there was no CC to follow up. But better safe than sorry, I suppose. There's the front wall down. And so next Immortal is pretty much going to be a game deciding moment. If we see a waste of heroics, if we see Sanctification go down like that, ripped Ring of Frost, Riptire, a lot of wasteful things go down before the next Immortal phase. This is 100% Clouded Minds. So they burnt all these heroics, and now they can kind of freely take them if you want, or sorry, Clouded Minds can take them freely. At this point, well, 13-11 advantage. They have Curse Bullet, they have Cocoon, Disintegrate, they have Mosh Pit, and they have the Sound Barrier. Now they're going, speeding on in, and this is unfortunately Star Knight completely misses that. Very nice concussion mine, but I don't know if it'll be enough. Sanctification already being used, but I don't think it'll save the day. There's the shield. Cars and Guitars is super low. Super low. He goes and hits him with that old W. The entire team coming on up. The rotation really too slow. Ring of Frost being wasted here, as there's no way they're going to be securing a kill at this point. They have just used the Sound Barrier, are re-engaging Clouded Minds, but that too is a waste, as there's no way they're going to be getting any kills at that point. However, they've won the traits. Sound Barrier is a pretty short cooldown, and Sanctification terribly long. Like, you do not want to be wasting it, and at this point, there's no way I expect PsychoSwarm to be able to win this. The reason being, they've burnt Sanctification. That's one of their key tools. They're down still a talent, which means they gotta get themselves 13. You can technically fight down 13 versus 11, because 13 is usually the least impactful tier for a lot of heroes. However, they are lucky in that it's on their side, and they have Junkrat who can drop these traps and get them in a good position. Star Knight is in a really bad position. However, he gets knocked off into a better position. However, an alley-oop prevents the mosh pit, but it's not going to matter, because say goodnight to Jaina, because she is in her own old icy grave. There is a pretty nice flailing swipe coming on now, saving the rest of the team right now. Walrus is okay, as he was in that cocoon. They're going for a big old Riptire. The Riptire is, well, rip the Riptire, as it got no value whatsoever, and 5 members of Clouded Minds are going to be running away with this, getting it to halftime. Cars and Guitars is still really low. He has taunted. There's a Sanctification, not getting any value, as it only hits Magic Walrus. In the meantime, they're still poking down Cujo. There comes a Sound Barrier, which is going to allow Tigerfish to disengage without taking any damage. It looks like he's looking to re-engage, but his team is not with him, as they are currently on the Immortal. So they are going to run up and try and defend this, but I don't think they have the opportunity. Tigerfish has been knocked out of position. This is their time. It is not their time. So PsychoSwarm still going for the chase. They have pushed him off a little bit. They need at least one person to start DPSing. They cannot afford to have... I'm not sure where he is going. Okay, he's going down to stop this camp from pushing in. However, they need to start doing damage to this Immortal. And you can see they're opting to take this camp. They've taken the camp, and now they can collapse in as they see Junkrat down here. And this is a free Immortal with no defense that's really possible. There's a nice throw. A second later, and he would have been stunned. There comes a Ring of Frost, but the Ring of Frost is just a ring of loss, as they do not land a single member on Clouded Swarm. Now Stukov has been trapped like a rat and is getting ran down. There they go. The Greymane has secured the kill on Stukov. A nearly full Immortal is going to be breathing down the necks of PsychoSwarm, and I do not think they can actually survive this. PsychoSwarm is going to be down. 16 versus 14. 16 versus 14 means they just walk on in with this immortal and they just full on dive, and they will have a field day. Riptire already being used, not really hitting members of Clouded Storms other than Star Knight. And at this point, well, that's one heroic used, and there is a nice throw Q, but it's a noob. He just burrows away. And then Great Hari going on into the fight. There's a mosh pit onto 3 members, and there is the Sanct, but the Sanct is not good at all, not hitting and landing to save any member. They are now stuck behind that Stukov. Cars and Guitars is still up, chasing and pulling them on back with the taunt, but they are now pushing on in with a nearly full life immortal. And all of PsychoSwarm is really low. In the meantime, Cujo trying his best. A rooted Tigerfish is all alone. They toss him back, they throw him up, and he is taking damage. But in the meantime, PsychoSwarm is going down for the count. They're trying their hardest. There's one member in there, but it's not going to be good enough. Clouded Minds walks away with a rather, I'd say, easy win here. So, very nice job on the side of Clouded Minds, as this is a pretty clean game for him, a 9 kill to 2 kill game. So, taking a look real fast, Junkrat was at the top, and Junkrat was playing the wrong build. His build is not correct by any stretch of the imagination. So if you're trying to play Junkrat competitively, don't take the trap build. It has merit to some degree, but ultimately it's not going to win you the game in most cases. Other side, 31k, 30k. So the damage is roughly even on both sides. What it really came down to, the extra healing, and then if we look at the extra, the level advantage, the XP advantage, the heroic usage. As a Jaina player, you generally aren't going to get much value out of Ring of Frost in a lot of cases without good setup. And the thing is, they don't have good setup on the side of PsychoSwarm for a Ring of Frost. They had a knockback, they had a throw, but technically you can throw someone into it, but I'm not expecting that. And that's it. They don't have setup really for a Ring of Frost. Water Elemental is the superior choice in that case. So hopefully PsychoSwarm can turn this around, because they have taken a game number 1. And with that, we're going to have a short break while we set up for game number 2. So sit on tight, and I hope you've been enjoying the cast so far.